Good morning, Lower School. And welcome to all of our guests. We're so happy to have you here today to share this space. I could feel the excitement in the room. It's such a beautiful way to start a Friday. Can we wish each other a happy Friday? Happy Friday. So we are gathering at a really special time in the school year. Your teachers and I spend a lot of time speaking about the first 6 weeks of school because the first 6 weeks of school are really, really important. And we're about at the end of the first 6 weeks of school. We spend the first 6 weeks, you know what we do, we build our classroom communities, right? We talk about how to be kind members of our classroom community, of the lower school community. We spend a lot of time thinking about where school left off in the spring. What are our skills? Whether that's in the classroom, at PE, in the art room. We spend a lot of time laying what we call the foundations during these 6 weeks. And now you're going to start to feel school ramp up a bit. That's a word we use a lot. We're going to start diving into new material. You might be feeling that already. You might feel that in math or in reading. You might feel it in art or in woodshop or out in the fields. But things are going to start to move a little quicker. So I wanted to remind you of two really important things that we want you to always remember as learners. Not just in first grade or second grade or third grade or fourth grade, but when you move on to middle school and upper school and your whole life as a learner, because we don't just learn when we're children, we're lifelong learners. Your teachers and I are still learning all the time. And there's really important pieces about how to be a learner that we want you to remember. Mr. Beck, can we go to that first slide, please? Give me a connection sign if you remember seeing this image before. My fourth graders definitely remember seeing this image before if they've been at country school. I show this image to students every single year because it is so incredibly important. This is called the learning pit, okay? And it's a really important thing to remember when we're learning, especially if we're learning something new or something challenging, because there's a path and a pattern to learning. So if you look to this side, this is where learning begins, right? And when we're learning something new or tricky, and again, this could be in math or reading or it could be an instrument, whatever it is that you're learning. At the beginning, it can feel a little murky. You don't understand what's going on. You can't get the answer right away. And you kind of go through this process. And when you're in what we call the pit, it can be really frustrating. I shared a story with you a couple years ago that I decided to relearn how to knit. I used to knit all the time. I hadn't picked up my knitting needles in about a decade. I decided to make a hat, a winter hat, which used to be a really easy project for me. I must have ripped out my stitches and restarted 10 times. And I was so frustrated. And then I remembered this image because learning at times can feel that way. It can be frustrating and it can be hard. And we really have to find our way to push through that feeling to get to the other side of the pit. So if you look on the other side past that brick wall, there's some strategies to try. Let me try again. Maybe I can ask for help. Maybe I can look to a friend. Your teachers talk to you about these strategies all the time in the classroom, right? Of what to do if you get stuck in your learning. But the most important thing I want you to look at, see that little bunny at the bottom? And what that says? It says if you can just leap over the pit, if you don't have any of those feelings of challenge or where something's feeling a little hard for you, you're probably not learning. It wasn't something that you really needed to learn, right? It was a skill set you maybe already had. So this is a really important thing to remember, that just because something's difficult for you or feels challenging doesn't mean it's not meant for you, doesn't mean you're not going to get it. Doesn't mean you're not going to be really good at it. Mr. Back, will you go to that next slide? I want you to remember the power of a really tiny and really important word. What is that word? Yet. The power of yet. It is so incredibly important to remember this, again, not just when you're a young learner, but your whole life. Instead of saying, I can't do this, say, I can't do this yet. Instead of, I'm not good at this, I'm not good at this yet. Okay? I don't understand this yet. It doesn't work yet. And this bottom one's so important. It doesn't make sense yet. Okay? So it's a really important tool. It's a really important part of being a successful learner to understand that sometimes learning feels hard. We ask you to do so many things every day at country school, right? Our program is so big and broad. You're doing so many different kinds of things and tapping into so many different skill sets. And for some kids, some are easier, and for some kids, some are harder. That's part of being a learner. So we want you to remember these tools, okay? So the power of yet, okay? We want you to take that with you all aspects of your life as a learner, okay? So when we're asking you throughout today to try something new, we want you to remember these things. We want you to lean on your teachers and lean on each other and just bring your best self to each thing that we ask you to do every day. We're so proud of everything you've accomplished just in these opening weeks of school. It has been a phenomenal beginning of the school year. Can you join me for a moment in giving your teachers a really big round of applause for everything they've done? I'm going to hand it off to our fabulous announcers in a moment, but I just want to remind us all that the reason this school year has been so joyful, so successful, so robust and vibrant is because of everyone in this room. This is our community. It's you as students, it's your faculty, it's your families, right? It's all of us together that make country school and make the lower school what it is. So keep being kind to one another, keep supporting one another, and keep bringing your best selves every day. Have a wonderful day, and let's give our announcers a big warm welcome.
I'm Matthew DiBiasio.
I'm Drew Gattiali.
I'm Desmond Springer. I'm Piper Owen. I'm Katie Nickham.
And welcome to
Lower School Assembly.
Please welcome Colin Buda, Story Fickthorn, William Goat, and Jordan Rama from 4Q to share the poem The Power of Yet.
There are so many things you want to know. There are so many ways you want to grow. There are so many things you want to be. There are so many milestones you want to see.
You will get there if you never forget the superpower of the word yet.
When you tried to first talk, you were hard to when you first tried to talk, you were hard to understand. When you first tried to eat, you needed a hand. When you first tried to walk, you fell and fell. When you first tried to run, it didn't go well.
But your baby self knew something we often forget, the superpower of the word yet.
Somehow you knew that if you kept trying, your chances of success would keep multiplying. The same is true with every risk you take. You just have to learn from every mistake.
Where you put your effort, the goal will be met as long as you remember the superpower of yet.
Thank you, Colin, Story, William, and Jordan.
Students from 4S would like to share their essays about the naming of Indigenous Peoples Day versus Columbus Day. Please welcome Johan Mithel, Charlie Kilcullen, Gemma Ormond, and Matthew DiBiasio from 4S.
Do you know why we had Monday off this past week?
It was Columbus Day, or was it Indigenous Peoples Day, or was it fall break?
Who was Christopher Columbus? Who are Indigenous people?
Christopher Columbus was an explorer who sailed to the Americas. Other explorers from Europe thought they might sail all the way around Africa to reach the Indies. Columbus wanted to discover a faster route. He decided to sail west and get to Asia from the other side.
But he didn't know that the Americas were in between. Some people thought the earth was flat, but Columbus and other educated people knew the earth was round.
The king and queen of Spain paid for Columbus's journey. They wanted Spain to become rich and powerful by controlling the trade that would come from Columbus's new route to Asia.
But Columbus never found a route to Asia. Columbus set sail from Spain in 1492, and he and his crew traveled in 3 ships, the Nina, Pinta, and Santa Maria, and found a route to the Americas.
The journey was tough, and 10 weeks later, they landed on a small island. Columbus claimed this land as part of Spain. There were already native people living there, and it's not right to take something that doesn't belong to you. But that's what most of the explorers did in those days.
They took over the land, stole gold and food, and forced native people into slavery. Columbus thought he had landed in India, and he called the native people Indians. Columbus really landed in the Bahamas. When he sailed to Cuba and Hispaniola, he thought he had reached Japan and China.
After a few voyages, Columbus never made it to India and the rest of Asia. He did reach Central and South America, but he never reached the part that is now the United States.
It is also hard to say he discovered the Americas because there were lots of people already living there. Besides, other explorers like the Vikings reached the Americas hundreds of years before Columbus. Columbus is remembered because he found a route from the Old World to the New World. That's why there's a Columbus holiday.
August 9th is Indigenous Peoples Day. Created by the United Nations in 1994, the holiday honors Indigenous people and cultures around the world.
While there is no single definition for indigenous people maintain close ties to their ancestral lands and traditions. In the United States, some Americans celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day instead of or along with Columbus Day.
Fairfield County was originally the land of the Lenape, Wappinger, Paugussett, Pequannock, and Munis people.
Last month, the fourth graders went to the Institute of American Indian Studies in Washington, Connecticut to learn about the indigenous people.
The grade will continue to learn about those who were here before us and share throughout the fall-winter with the lower school community.
Wait, no, it's me. No, it's me. Thank you, Yuhan, Charlie, Gemma, and of course, Matthew.
Now, Drew Gaudioli, Claire Antevelt, and Nico Van Riesema will read reflections about Indigenous Peoples Day.
I think it should be called Indigenous Peoples Day because Columbus took all of the indigenous people's land, gold, and most importantly, their culture. So why should we celebrate him? The indigenous people gave and taught the Europeans useful things, and Columbus gave the indigenous people useless things like jewelry and hats. Columbus didn't care about the indigenous people. All he cared about was conquering the land. That's why I think it should be called Indigenous Peoples Day.
I think we should call it Indigenous Peoples Day because Columbus didn't care about the tribes. The tribes he encountered welcomed Columbus and his crew, while Columbus did nothing positive for them. He also enslaved their people and took their culture. Also, he dominated their land and spread diseases. Columbus stole their gold and other supplies. This is why we should call it Indigenous Peoples Day.
The reason why I think it should be Indigenous Peoples Day is because Columbus was a bad person. Columbus took the indigenous people away from their homes just to make them slaves. Isn't that cruel? What would you do if you were taken from your home without warning? The indigenous people deserve to be honored. That is why I think it should be Indigenous Peoples Day instead of Columbus Day.
Thank you, Clara, Nico, and of course me.
Here's a math problem. What is 16 times 42?
I don't know. Maybe we should ask Miss Jackaloni. I'll get her. We could use some mathematical help.
I'm so happy that the fourth graders shared a problem to solve this morning because I think it should be a challenge for many of you to try to solve yourselves. So the fourth graders asked me to solve a problem, 16 times 42. Okay? And I want to see if any of you can try to solve it and the strategies that you use to solve it. So I'm going to leave this in a little box outside of my office, which is right behind that wall. And if you feel up for a challenge, feel free to come get it, put your name, try to solve it the best you can, and then you can leave it in my mailbox. Okay? Who's up for a challenge? Thumbs up? excited to announce, though, that next Thursday, October 20th, we're going to have a lower school math morning. And you are all invited to come to school with a grown-up for the first half hour of the morning to play a workplace game with them. Okay? Many of your parents have signed up already, but if you would like to come, talk to your grown-ups, and another link to the sign-up registration will be sent out on Monday. Okay? So we hope so many of you can come. We look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. Save the date.
What do you get when you drop a pumpkin?
I know, a squash.
That's a real knee slapper. Please welcome the second graders to sing Autumn is Here.
say thank you.
Thank you, second graders, for that great song.
There are lots of fun activities coming up here on campus.
The Cougar Run is rescheduled for October 29th. Be sure to bring your running shoes.
The Fall Festival will happen right after the Cougar Run.
Remember to get your costumes ready for the Halloween parade. Halloween is right around the corner. I know what my costume is going to be, but I'm keeping it a secret.
The Festival of Books is coming up in November too. This year it will be in Grace House.
November 8th to 10th. Mark your calendars.
Speaking of books,
Miss Lindquist has an announcement.
I would like to call Avery DeReber to come up and pick our winner. Avery was our winner last time. And Avery, tell everyone what the winning answer was.
Farm animals.
Farm animals. And there were lots of people who got the answer right. But there was about the same, this is for my lower school friends, about the same amount as I have in my hand that had no names on them. So if you have the right answer but you don't put your name on it, we can't pick you out of the box. So, or Avery can't. All right, Avery. Stella. Stella Vartanian. Where are you, Stella? There we are. Yep.
Congratulations.
All right. So Stella will come see me and pick out her books later.
It's right here. Right here.
no, it's after. It's after.
Yeah. No, it's true.
No, it's me. No, it's me.
Yeah, it's that.
We have asked Miss Mellon, Mr. Neal, and Mr. Cooper to bring back the marble run on the blacktop.
So for us, our class is going to share their thoughts on the new and improved marble run.
Please welcome Johan Mitho and Stefanos Kousias
To the microphone.
Hey, I remember playing with the marble run before COVID. It was so much fun.
I wonder if we could get all the materials back.
We should write a letter to Mrs. Mallon, Mr. Cooper, and Mr. Neal and ask them.
Let's get as many fourth graders and teachers as we can to sign this so Mrs. Mallon, Mr. Cooper, and Mr. Neal know how badly we want it.
That's a great idea, Johan. High five.
All right, let's go tell Miss Seti our idea.
The marble run is back in action, lower school. Thank you, Mrs. Mallon, Mr. Cooper, and Mr. Neal.
Thank you, Johan and Stefanos.
One of the best parts of country school is that we get to have class pets. We love guinea pigs.
4Q has put together a video all about their new class pets. Please welcome Amaya Laban, Sam Machard, and Charlotte Cataldo from 4Q.
Hi, lower school. We just got new guinea pigs from Kentucky. Kindly, Miss Detless, our science teacher, rescued them from an overcrowded shelter.
When we first got them, they were super scared and wouldn't let us pet them or hold them. Now they're more comfortable every day.
We stay in from recess and feed them food like lettuce, melon, and we see what they like the most.
Now please welcome our guinea pigs, Coco and S'mores.
I'm saying my line. Thank you. Thank you, Amaya, Sam, and Charlotte.
Today's theme was the power of yet. I'm excited to learn a new instrument this year in band.
I'm not very good at hockey yet. I'm going to work on my skating this year.
I want to get better at art, and I can do that by practicing drawing.
I would like to get better at math. I'm going to keep practicing my mathematics skills.
As some of you know, I'm a dancer. I can't do a backflip yet.
Let's hear from the famous singer-songwriter Janelle Monáe.
How does it go?
Isn't book right?
Oh, we'll never get this.
Mr. Drum! No!
Emma would never get it right.
You tried to act, but the note came up. You tried to sing, but you didn't know to hold on. You tried to cook, but the food it didn't taste right. You tried to dunk, but you didn't get enough. You didn't do it right now, but keep trying. You just didn't get it yet, but you get it soon. I bet that's the power of a yet. That's the power of a yet. That is what you get with the power of a yet. Come on, you tried to ride, but you couldn't make it better. You tried to jump, but you didn't make it very far. You tried to drum, but you couldn't find a downbeat. You tried to dance, but you tripped on your own feet. Just breathe, don't lose control. Keep trying and you reach your goal. You just didn't get it, you'll make it soon, I bet. That's the power of a yet. That's the power of a yet. Ready, get set with the power of a yet. Break it down now. There's no mountain you can climb. It takes a little time, 'cause you got what it takes just to learn from your mistakes. Try again, and one day you'll step up and there. You try to add and get the right answer. You sing the song and you be a great dancer. You dunk the ball and you make the right letter. Everything you do it well. This is what you get. 'Cause this is what you get. 'Cause this is what you get with the power of a yet. That's the power of a yet. And that is what you get. And that is what you get. Woo! And that's what you get with the power of a yet. My skin in it.
How does it go?
Thank you for being a great audience.
This was a great assembly.
Be kind to one another and have a great day.
Please listen for your grade level sounds.